In the frigid dawn of June 18, 1815, the clamor of war thundered across the fields of Waterloo. The air was thick with the pungent stench of gunpowder, mingling with the metallic tang of blood. As the sun broke over the horizon, casting an eerie orange glow across the battleground, the crack of cannon fire sliced through the tense silence. Soldiers shouted, their voices rising in a cacophony of desperation and fury, punctured by the cries of wounded men, some pleading, some invoking the names of their loved ones. Napoleon Bonaparte, standing on a small rise, felt the chill of the morning seep into his bones, the crushing weight of destiny pressing down upon him. Clad in a dark uniform, his once vibrant gaze now clouded with fatigue, he could taste the bitter urgency of the moment. He was not just fighting for victory, he was fighting for his very legacy. "Soldiers," he shouted, his voice rising above the din. "This is our moment. You are the guardians of France. We shall show them the might of the eagle." The fervor in his words vibrated through the men like static electricity, igniting a flicker of hope amid despair. As the battle raged, shadows danced across the field, each soldier's heart pounding in sync with the relentless drumbeat of war. The cries of the wounded grew more desperate, mingling with the thunderous sounds of horses galloping and swords clashing. The ground was slick with mud and blood, each step taken by man or beast, resonating with the heavy thuds of fate. With each cannonball that fell, sending shards of earth flying in all directions, Napoleon knew that his empire hung in the balance. Would he emerge as the conqueror or fade into the annals of history as another forgotten name? To understand the man before us, we must journey back to his humble beginnings. Born on August 15, 1769, on the sun-drenched island of Corsica, Napoleon was the second of 8 children in a family that constantly battled poverty. The heady scents of salt and earth, mixed with the bitter aroma of hardship, filled their small home, as his parents often struggled to make ends meet. His father, Carlo Bonaparte, was a lawyer but had little money to provide for his family. Young Napoleon often observed the fragile tension in his mother's eyes, a mix of love and desperation. He heard her whispers of worry at night, the sound of her fingers brushing against fabric as she mended worn-out clothes hitched with tears. "Why must we always live like this?" he overheard her say one evening, her voice trembling. It struck him like a thunderclap, igniting a deep-rooted desire to escape this cycle of poverty. As a child, he was teased for his inability to speak French fluently and for his Corsican accent, feelings of inadequacy that would fuel his relentless ambition. The pressure mounted, and in the silence of his room, filled with the faint smell of aged wood and wax, a young Napoleon vowed to rewrite his destiny, not just for himself, but for his family. As Napoleon entered the military ranks, ambitious and eager to prove himself, he faced a defining moment of despair. After a miserable stint during the siege of Toulon in 1793, he returned home, his heart heavy with doubt. The stench of gunpowder still clung to him like a second skin, a constant reminder of his early failures. His superiors had deemed him too inexperienced, a boy playing at war with no regard for the true horrors of combat. "You are not a commander, Bonaparte," one of them sneered, the disdain palpable in his voice. "You are a child with dreams far too big for your stature." Sitting alone in the cramped room, Napoleon clenched his jaw, fists trembling at his sides. The cold stone walls felt like they were closing in, suffocating him. How could he face his family, who had nurtured him with hopes of a brighter future? "I will not be defined by this defeat," he hissed to the empty room, determination coursing through his veins. It was a moment where the weight of the world seemed to rest solely on his narrow shoulders, teasing the edge of his resolve. He took a deep breath, inhaling the musty scent of sweat-drenched uniforms and the ever-present fear of failure. "Enough," he muttered fiercely. "I will rise. I will show them all." The turning point came quickly, igniting a surge of ambition that would propel Napoleon into greatness. During the Italian campaign of 1796, he faced the formidable Austrian army. One night, standing under the cold, starry sky, he crafted a plan that would go down in history as a masterpiece of military strategy. Napoleon decided to split his forces and execute a series of rapid maneuvers, attacking the enemy from multiple directions. "We will maneuver like the wind," he said to his generals, his eyes gleaming with fervor, "striking where they least expect us. They will not know what hit them." His voice was filled with conviction, each word a promise of victory. Over the next few weeks, the sound of hooves and the clash of steel resonated through the valleys of northern Italy, as his forces, swift and agile, outfoxed the Austrians at every turn. As his troops marched forward, Napoleon could feel the palpable excitement, the air thick with anticipation. "Push forward! Take every village! Let them taste the fire of our resolve," he bellowed, his voice soaring above the din of battle. With each victory, he painted a vivid picture of glory for his men. The scent of success wafted in the air, electrifying their every move, igniting a passion for conquest. The grass underfoot, trampled by the weight of advancing soldiers, shimmered in the sunlight, like the future he was forging with each strategic triumph. The pinnacle of his military prowess manifested during the Battle of Austerlitz on December 2, 1805, often hailed as his greatest victory. As the sun rose, casting a pale light over an icy expanse, the world felt eerily silent. The chilly breeze whispered through the trees, and the ground was hard and unforgiving, crunching underfoot. Napoleon stood atop a hill, surveying the battlefield like a hawk circling its prey. He could hear the distant thrum of drums, the sound of soldiers rallying, their breath visible in the cold. "Let them come," he murmured, the corners of his mouth curling upward. "They will regret underestimating us." He ordered his troops to feign weakness, allowing the Allied forces to believe they had the upper hand. "We shall give them a false sense of security," he instructed his generals, "and then, like a coiled snake, we will strike." As the Allied forces advanced, believing they had found an advantage, Napoleon's troops launched a counterattack with a ferocity that shook the very ground. The air filled with the deafening roars of cannon fire and the sharp ring of swords meeting armor. "Forward, forward!" shouted Napoleon, leading the charge, adrenaline coursing through his veins. It smelled of sweat and smoke, the air thick with the sickening scent of fear and valor. Minute by minute, the battle unfolded, colors blurring, sounds merging into a symphony of chaos. Both armies clashed, wills colliding like thunder, and as the smoke cleared, the French emerged victorious. "That is how you win a war," he declared to his generals, a fierce glint in his eye, the thrill of conquest radiating from him. Yet as history often teaches, the road to greatness is paved with treachery. As the years marched on, allies turned to enemies. In 1814, the once loyal generals who had followed him to glory began to see him as a liability. The scent of betrayal thickened in the air, mingling with the fading smoke of his victories. "I did not fight for you to abandon me," Napoleon exploded during a heated meeting with his former allies, his voice echoing off the high ceilings. "You owe me your loyalty." But his words fell on deaf ears as murmurs of discontent grew louder. One of his closest generals, Michel Ney, once filled with admiration, now stood before him with cold, unyielding eyes. "Your ambition has clouded your judgment, Bonaparte. The people no longer love you," Ney replied, steel in his voice. "We must think of France, not just the eagle." The sting of betrayal felt as sharp as a dagger piercing his heart. Each word from Ney drummed against his mind, the bitter truth encasing him in a shroud of despair. The winter of 1814 was harsh. The icy winds blew through the palace, chilling him to the bone, as whispers of coalition forces drawing closer began to fill the hallways. "What have I done to deserve this?" he mumbled, grappling with the isolation that surrounded him. In a bitter twist of fate, Napoleon would soon learn that the very men he had once led to glory now strategized against him, carving a path for his downfall. In exile on the island of Elba, Napoleon reflected on his life, a man who had risen from obscurity to reshape Europe. The salty sea air filled his lungs as he walked the rugged coastline, the weight of his failures heavy on his shoulders. "Ambition is the path to success," he once said, "but persistence is the vehicle you arrive in." However, his own ambition had led him to a lonely existence, pondering the very nature of power and respect. His legacy, cemented by the Napoleonic Code, changed legal systems worldwide, establishing principles of civil rights that resonate to this day. Yet he knew that history would remember him not just for his accomplishments, but for the very human flaws that brought him to his knees. "What is glory but fleeting?" he contemplated aloud, watching the horizon fade into shades of gray. His journey was a reminder of the thin line between triumph and disaster, the relentless pursuit of greatness marred by betrayal and hubris. In the end, Napoleon Bonaparte remains a figure of contradiction, a military genius and a modern legal architect whose life was marked by both monumental achievements and profound human failures. His footsteps, though legendary, echo with the reminder that even the mightiest can fall, leaving behind a legacy that is as complex as the man himself. This biography explores the life of Napoleon Bonaparte in vivid detail, providing a deep dive into the man who shaped Europe through military genius and legal reforms. Each section encapsulates a pivotal moment in his life, invoking sensory details and heavy emotions, creating an immersive experience.